1965.
We knew the world would not be the same.
Robert Oppenheimer appeared on an American television. It was for an NBC documentary called The Decision to Drop the Bomb. Produced to mark the 20th anniversary of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He looked back at a defining moment in the history. The Cold War was at its height. The United States and the Soviet Union had built thousands of nuclear weapons, and the world lived under the constant shadow of annihilation. This was the atmosphere in which Oppenheimer was asked to reflect in his role in history. He recalled what passed through his mind at the Trinity test of July 1945. When the desert sky lit up with the first nuclear explosion. In a calm but a haunted voice, he said,
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
These words came from the Bhagavad Gita, an ancient Hindu scripture. Oppenheimer was recounting the memory of what he had thought 20 years earlier, at the very moment the bomb was born. But even before Oppenheimer, another great mind had touched this story years earlier. Albert Einstein has signed a letter that helped set the bomb's creation in motion, a decision he would come to deeply regret. Just weeks after Trinity, the atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima on August 6, 1945. In an instant, tens of thousands were killed, and for the first time in history, a single weapon had the power to destroy an entire city. 3 days later, Nagasaki suffered the same fate. These bombings forced Japan to surrender, bringing World War II to a close, but at a cost that scared humanity forever. This is a story of a brilliant physicist and a legacy that still echoes in today's nuclear age. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe and like. I am Ayman Masmoudi, and today I will guide you through a story you will want to miss. Julius Robert Oppenheimer was born on April 22, 1904, in New York City, in a cultured and well-off family. His father was a German Jewish textile importer, and his mother, Ella Friedman, was an artist. Their home was filled with art, music, and intellectual curiosity. From a young age, Robert showed a brilliant and a curious mind. He loved reading poetry, mineralogy, and philosophy, and he excelled in school, graduating as valedictorian from the Ethical Culture School in 1921. He entered Harvard University at just 18, first studying chemistry before falling in love in theoretical physics. After graduating, he continued his studies at Cambridge, at England, and then at Göttingen University of Germany, one of the world's leading centers of quantum mechanics. By his early 20s, he had earned his PhD. These early years shaped him into a man of both science and philosophical thought, a combination that would define the rest of his life. By the late 1920s and 1930s, Oppenheimer had joined the faculty at the University of California, became known for his magnetic intellect, and delved deeply into atomic and nuclear theory. Then came the outbreak of World War II and the rise of Nazi regime in Europe. Many physicists feared that Germany might develop nuclear weapons first, and suddenly a letter arrived in the United States that will change everything. Addressed directly to President Franklin Roosevelt in August 1939. It warned that uranium could be used to build an extremely powerful bombs of a new type. The scientists suspected Nazi Germany might be working on such a weapon because of several alarming signs. In 1938, German chemists discovered nuclear fission, the splitting of uranium atoms, and soon after, refugee physicists explained how this reaction could release enormous energy for a bomb. Germany still had top scientists that capable of pursuing such a research. And most troubling of all, after occupying Czechoslovakia, the Nazis suddenly stopped exporting uranium ore from its mines, a move that looked very much like stockpiling for secret nuclear work. This warning was drafted by Hungarian Leo Szilard, and best known for conceiving the idea of the nuclear chain reaction, having fled Europe as Nazism rose, first to Britain and then to the United States. Szilard feared that if Hitler's Germany gained control of nuclear science, the consequences would be catastrophic. He believed that the USA had the resources and the urgency to act in time. He was supported by other refugee scientists, but Szilard's name alone would not get to the president's attention. So he turned to a friend with unmatched prestige, Albert Einstein. Einstein co-signed the letter, and with his signature, the alarm reached Roosevelt. That Einstein letter convinced the US government to act. Without it, the Manhattan Project would never have begun. By 1941, Oppenheimer himself was drawn into this world. He began working with Nobel Prize physicists on uranium isotope separation. This was an essential step in bomb design. But was this Oppenheimer's personal mission or a government order? In reality, the initiative came from the US government and military. Scientists were recruited because of the urgent fear that Hitler's Germany might achieve the bomb before the Allies. For Oppenheimer, however, the decision to participate was not forced. He chose to join, driven partly by patriotism and the desire to defend the free world, and partly by the intellectual challenge of solving the most complex scientific puzzle of his time. By 1942, the US formally launched the secret program that would become known as the Manhattan Project. Soon after, the General Leslie Groves personally selected Oppenheimer as scientific director of the new laboratory at Los Alamos. 1942, a small office in Manhattan became the birthplace of a secret. To squeeze its purpose, the Army Corps of Engineers called it the Manhattan Engineer District, soon simply known as the Manhattan Project. It wasn't just one lab, but a massive network. Over 130,000 people working in secrecy. At a cost of $2 billion, scientists, engineers, and soldiers united on one goal: to end the war before Germany did. General Leslie Groves chose Robert Oppenheimer to lead the new laboratory at Los Alamos. Tough, controversial, and without a Nobel Prize, Oppenheimer's brilliance and leadership made him the right man of the job. At Los Alamos, minds like Enrico Fermi, Richard Feynman, and Hans Bethe worked day and night, inventing everything from scratch. Some designed the uranium bomb, others focused on the far more complex. By 1945, and just after 2 years of relentless work, the materials, uranium from Oak Ridge, plutonium for Hanford, were ready. So the final tests will take place in the New Mexico desert, under a single hunting name, Trinity. Before dawn at July 16, 1945, the world changed forever. The plutonium core was in place. No one knew if it would work or destroy everything. At 5:29 a.m., the desert erupted into blind light, brighter than the sun. The shockwave shattered windows miles away. Witnesses described colors beyond imaginations. In Oppenheimer's mind, echoed the ancient words. Now I became death, the destroyer of worlds. The test lasted only seconds, but humanity entered the new nuclear age. Oppenheimer's triumph had also birthed his deepest dread, the knowledge of what that power could do. With the bomb proven, the question shifted from can it work to should it be used? Because Germany had already surrendered, but Japan fought on. The battle of Okinawa had cost over 200,000 lives, and US leaders feared millions more if Japan were invaded. At the Potsdam Conference, President Harry Truman warned Japan to surrender or face utter destruction. But when Japan refused, Truman gave the order. On August 6, 1945, the B-29 dropped Little Boy over Hiroshima. In seconds, tens of thousands dead. 3 days later, Fat Man devastated Nagasaki. By year's end, 200,000 of people had perished. Japan surrendered on August 15, ending the World War II. But Oppenheimer's remorse never left him. The war ended, but peace didn't follow. The Soviet Union, aided by spies inside the Manhattan Project, tested its first bomb in 1949, ending the USA monopoly, and the arms race began. By the early 1950s, both powers developed the hydrogen bombs, hundreds of times stronger. Oppenheimer, once the father of atomic bomb, now urged restraint. He warned that nuclear escalation could doom humanity, but his warnings were ignored. As nations built thousands of warheads, the shadow of annihilation grew, and for Oppenheimer, the Cold War became not just a global struggle, but his personal downfall. By 1945, Robert Oppenheimer had helped unleash a force unlike anything humanity had ever known. His leadership at Los Alamos ended one war, but also began an age defined by fear. Okay, as of now, 2025, 9 countries are confirmed to possess nuclear weapons. The United States, Russia, China, France, United Kingdom, India, Pakistan, Israel, and North Korea. Bomb once a scientific secret born in the desert of the New Mexico has become humanity's permanent shadow. This was the legacy of Oppenheimer, father of the atomic bomb and witness to the dawn of the nuclear age. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and see you next video.